Hey, Chris Plugginbull here again. We're going to talk about invalidation, one of my favorites of the acronym Mr. Weenie. Watch this. Invalidation is the I right here, and this happens all the time, okay? Now, I want to explain what it simply is. It's where I devalue your experience because I have no empathy for anything that you're doing. It looks like this. If a guy comes home from work and he sees his wife, he goes, "What'd you do all day? Just sit around and watch TV and eat candy?" All right, that you've just completely invalidated your spouse's whole entire life. Or on the reverse, all you did all day was sit around and talk to adults. I wish I could have talked to some adults today. I was under here slaving away with a 3-year-old. Now, you've created the same sort of invalidation, goes both ways. It's where I take what you did, I remove myself from it, and I assume or I give you a value to what you did of the amount of work and amount of effort you put in. Now, and here's how we address this. We invalidate each other all the time, intentionally, unintentionally, just because we're sinful people who hurt people all the time. Remember, hurt people hurt people. That's how we roll. So because of that, we've got to have a way that we can have every feeling that is wounded, is hurt, it all counts. All of our feelings count. Feelings and facts aren't the same, but every feeling counts just as much as if it were a fact. Now this is where a lot of you are like, you see, I can't deal with that. You're living in a rational land. No, watch. Every feeling counts. I need you to see this. Every feeling counts and must be accounted for. To which you're like, what? You've got to account for all the feelings. And here's what's going on here. A lot of times, the person that says that they blow up over one thing, they're really angry about something else that had nothing to do with you, which is why, as a spouse or someone who loves your spouse, it would behoove you. In fact, it is exactly what you need to do to lean in, press into a battle, a fight, a conversation that gets heated, because what you might be revealing is there's something deeper that's wounded, and you're able to pull it out. Watch. So what happens is, you're going to say this, listen, I want to account for all of your feelings. I understand that you feel like, all right, and if we got to use I feel language, you feel like I hurt you when I said something. So first off, we've got to use, whenever we are talking about the invalidation that happened, we need to say, I feel, and then fill in the emotional blank. This is where a lot of people need watch this, emotional charts to understand if they're happy, sad, frustrated, angry, betrayed, lost, confused, sad, anxious, whatever it is, you've got to be able to put an emotion to how you're feeling. And until you put a word to what you feel, your spouse or your partner is clueless. And this is where, watch this, if you're an out loud processor, I need you to hear me. If you're an out loud processor, this is what you generally do. You try on feelings like this. I feel angry. All right. And then after you try it on, I try on the feeling. It's like, it's like you're trying on clothes. I'm not angry. I'm sad. I'm just a sad person right now. Or no, I'm not actually sad. I'm just frustrated. And so what happens if you're an out loud processor, you can go through a lot of different emotions, and the person that you're dating or you're married to, they can think of you as psycho because you just told me you were angry, and then you just flipped, and now you're sad, and now it just flipped, and now you're confused. And so what you need to understand to the person that's an internal processor is usually what they say is what they are. And so while a person that's an out loud processor is trying on all sorts of feelings, I'm trying on my happy coat. Not happy. I'm trying on my frustrated coat. That's not it either. Eventually, you arrive at the feeling, okay? So eventually you come to that, and it's important that you do. So you pick one. I feel, fill in the blank, because or when, and then come up with a specific action. When you did X. Got it? You've got to be able to specifically hammer out. And listen, this is why it's so hard. A lot of us have memories like Dory. Remember from Finding Nemo? Like you can't remember anything. And so you'd say, listen, I know I feel awful, but I can't remember why. And I bet you there's probably a reason for it. because you pushed it down, you didn't explore it, and so I need you to go find out what it was, spend time in that emotion, because granted, you probably don't want to, you just want to get over with it, you compartmentalize most of your feelings anyway, let's not talk about it, let's keep moving, or it's just in general because you're awful. So what I need you to do is go back and figure out what it was. Take the time, and if you're a spouse who loves whom you're married to, go with them through this time. All right, I feel this because of when you did X. Now, watch this. We need to start apologizing using a 3-step method. And I know this is going to get really mechanical. All right, so the way you apologize is there's 3 steps. Apology has 3 parts. Number 1, you got to say, I'm sorry, with empathy. Do you know what I mean by empathy? Empathy. All right, here's the problem. Most of us don't understand empathy. It looks like this. Simply walk a mile in someone else's shoes. I'm sorry that when I said you were stupid, it made you feel like that you were worthless and took away all value. I could imagine if you had said that to me in front of the people I work with, or in front of the kids, or in front of anybody, or just said it to me, how awful that would make you feel. Gosh, I can't believe I did that. There's no excuse for that. You must feel horrible. Watch, okay? That's I'm sorry. Then 2, then you're going to own it, and you're going to say, will you forgive me? You're going to put the power in their hands. Will you forgive me, right? And it goes like this. Will you forgive me? Zip the lip. Don't keep talking. Don't feel like you need to fill up the air. Just zip it. And then, after they say, yes, I forgive you, you go, what can I do to make it right? Now watch this. Now, obviously, I'm a Christian and a pastor, and so you don't go to step 3 until you get step 2, because we want forgiveness to precede righteous acts. You don't earn forgiveness. You don't do a bunch of stuff so that they will forgive you, because that creates a transactional relationship, which is bad news. Like, you will get my love if you do this amount of stuff. That is going to send you down a chaotic world of ungratified, unmet expectation and hurt. But if you could say, I forgive you because God has called me to, and even though I'm angry, I know that's what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to forgive you. And listen, it's going to take some time for me to kind of get the poison out of my heart. I might have to forgive you every day for a while. But what you can do to make right is not do that again. You with me? That's the piece of this that needs to happen. I'm sorry with empathy. Will you forgive me? Put the power in their hands, and then simply going, what can I do to make it right? And when you say, what can I do to make it right? You're really giving them the power, and then they say, well, I don't want you ever to talk to that person again. And then you say, is that realistic? And if it's something they say, if you love me, and again, this is where you don't want to go, if you love me. Because you love me, you will do that for me, because I'm so wounded, I'm so hurt. For me to kind of get past this, I forgive you. But boy, it is really hard. Our relationship's really damaged if you're still working there and you still interact with that girl who you had an affair with. Right? That's kind of where we might need to kind of pull it back. Or maybe it wasn't an affair, or maybe it was an inappropriate relationship, or maybe it wasn't an inappropriate relationship, but maybe it was something that we need to be able to dial back and have in a sense, the punishment fit the crime. And so what happens for a lot of us is we forget this step, and we feel like for one of us, it's just result. I already said I'm sorry. What else do you want? I said I'm sorry. Not good enough. I'm sorry with empathy. Will you forgive me? Put the power in their hands. What can I do to make it right? But you've got to do this process of I feel happy, sad, frustrated, whatever, because of this when you did X. And you've got to be able to put a name to that action. And that's going to be able to get you to the place of validating your spouse's feelings. You're going to be able to validate a lot of the pain, and that's going to create the communication and understanding that's needed for forgiveness to happen.